I don't even know. I don't even know what to say. I don't even know what to say to that. How did I overstress the aircraft? I barely started moving. Hello YouTube, Captain Mac here, and a fine good morning to you, or perhaps it's afternoon or evening, depends on where you're at in the world and what time you decide to watch this. But it is nice and early in the morning for me, and I thought to myself, here's one we haven't done in a while. Some time ago, when Quality Wings released their 787, we started a global tour, and we never got a chance to finish it. Of course, this is not a Quality Wing 787. It's the default, but with the 787 Heavy Division add-on mod, it's certainly a lot better. And the guys who are taking care of that mod are doing a pretty fantastic job, and I look forward to seeing what comes of it next. You know, that's one thing I've noticed with this new flight sim is we're seeing a lot more modifications to default aircraft to make them far better, and we're seeing a lot of great folks stepping up and doing that stuff without charging people a bunch of money. Then we got the other side where we got some companies that have been around a long time, we won't mention any names, that are releasing pretty much garbage and then charging money for it. It's really just sad. But this aircraft's certainly much better with the work that the folks over at the Heavy Division mod have been doing, and I look forward to seeing what comes next. Now our flight today is going to pick up right where we left off. We're in Dubai, OMDB, and we're going to fly over to OPKC, which is Jinnah, I think is how you say it, Jinnah International Airport, which is in Pakistan. We're going to fly this absolutely stellar looking Expo 2020 Dubai livery, and boy, I really like this thing. It's pretty cool. There's actually a bunch of these with different colors and stuff on them, which I think is pretty great. So this is the one I chose. This is the one we're going to fly. So what do you say we climb up into this beautiful new flight deck and get to work? Alrighty folks, let's take a look at our flight plan for the day really quickly here. There we have it. It's UAE flight 0109 OMDB to OPKC in our 787 Dubai International to Jinnah International. Cost index, I put it on as 85 on here. It lets me put it as 850 in the FMC. I'm probably going to change it back to 85 because as I think about it, if I change it up to 850, I'll burn more fuel, which has not been planned for. So air distance 683 nautical miles, not a super long flight anyway. Estimated takeoff weight of 424,719 pounds, landing at 405,360. Zero fuel weight is 383,107. We're planning to cruise at flight level 370. Block fuel is 42,712 pounds. If we come down here, of course, I did not get my times right yet again. Not a big surprise there. We got 356 packs on board. Cargo is 19.6 thousand pounds. Payload of 81,900 pounds. I already mentioned the zero fuel weight fuel and takeoff weight. So pretty much straightforward stuff. We're all used to it by now. Well, let's get back over to the flight deck and finish setting things up. Alrighty folks, we're just about set up here. We got the APU spinning up right now. You can see that the MCP is just about done being set up here. We've got 37,000 on our altitude, LNAV, VNAV are armed, but we do need to take a look at what our takeoff speed is going to be. So if we go back in here, this is just the way I usually go. Takeoff, there we go. So it's got us rotating at 137. I don't know how much I buy that, but we're going to find out. It doesn't give us the trim on here, but 146 is our V2. So I like to put this 10 knots above, so it's going to put us at 156 here. So we'll scroll that down a little bit. There we go, 156 there. Let's take a look up top. APU, I think the APU is going to be running. The problem is it doesn't actually show up on here. So if I select the systems on here and then go to status, No, it actually shows the APU running this. So sometimes it shows it and sometimes it doesn't. Or maybe that's only a thing I'm having. I can't. You know what? I can't keep up. Some of these aircraft have the same problems and some of them don't. But either way, our APU is definitely up and running. So we can switch off of ground power here, which we will do shortly. We are running PAC-X, as you can hear in the background, and it looks like we got about 17 minutes left on boarding back there. So I'm going to let them finish up, and then we're going to come on here and we're going to push and start. Very simple process. We'll be ready to rock and roll. Let me go ahead and fire up this pushback toolbar. We've already planned our pushback. Let's just take a quick look here at our before start checklist. Seatbelt sign is on. I actually remember to turn it on this time, I think. There it is right there. Seatbelt sign is on. Give the cabin chime. Doesn't work. Fuel quantity has been checked. Engine throttle is idle. You know, I want to double check that fuel quantity because for whatever reason my mind just said no, it's not right. So block fuel is supposed to be 42,712 pounds, and we are going to be just below that, right? Yep, 42.7. So it has been checked. Fantastic. Engine throttles are at idle. Engine area is clear. Auto brake setting goes to RTO. Yaw dampers on. Could never find that in this airplane. Fly-by-wire setting, check that. Hydraulic engine pumps, hydraulic electric pumps, those are on. Packs are on. Equipment cooling is on. Fuel pumps are on. Startup clearance has been requested. Let's request our pushback.
Cockpit to ground.
This is ground. Stand by.
Stand by. You can start both engines at the same time in this aircraft, so for expediency we're going to do that. So just click both of the fuel control levers to the on position or run position. Is it run? Yeah, it's run. Both to the run position, and then once we start the push, you can come up here. Now, if that angle doesn't work for you, well, this one will work a little better. So here's your engine start switches. You're just going to left click them over to the start position one at a time. As I said, they can both be started at the same time, which we're going to do.
All doors and hatches closed and all
Always
ground
until
equipment
release
is
brakes.
removed.
We are cleared for start and push.
Okay, cleared for push start. Please release parking brake.
Parking brakes are released.
Commencing pushback. You can start the engines in sequence.
It will start in the sequence.
Okay, so we can start them both at the same time, but we don't want to do it like right on top of each other, right? So the right way to do it is to do one, then the other. So we're going to start engine number 2, give it just a few seconds to start spooling up.
Ladies and gentlemen,
And then we're going to go with engine number 1. And so when we look on here, we'll see the start is taking place. There's nothing else for us to do except wait for the engines to spool up. You can see the N2 coming up. Exhaust gas temperature will start coming up soon, and the engines will both start. So I'm going to break away while those start up because there's nothing for us to do. But if you want to see the engines start up, let me know down in the comment section. Otherwise, see you back here shortly. Alright, that's 2 good engine starts. Let's go ahead and finish getting things set up for departure. What was that flash? Was that like the sun off of his vehicle there? It must have been. There's flaps 10. There's 15 right there. Let's do our flight controls check really quick. Full left, full right, all the way up, all the way down, and neutral, and then rudder full left and rudder full right. Now, I will just say that if you watch that yoke there, how it suddenly goes all the way, that's not how that curve is set up. So that has something to do with the aircraft itself, but that's fine. I'm not too worried about it. Put that back on the status page, and then on the engines page, or not the engines page, my bad. Now what you can do, this is kind of nice, is you can just flip this over here. So this, I can have my engines over here and now just have my nav display here, which is what I want anyway. Fuel quantity has been checked. Taxi lights need to come on. It's that one there. I've got the other lights on. We're good to go. There's a little bit of fog out here this morning, or it's probably dust. Navigation lights are on. Instrument displays are checked. Taxi clearance has been requested. We are good to go. Let's get this to the proper view here. Track hire coming on. Hopefully everything works all right. And let me center that up for you. Hold on, I got to get my head rested. There we go. And reach for that mouse. Parking brake coming off. There we go. And let's start our taxi. Now, I don't think I've done a taxi briefing yet, so as we get ready to start rolling forward here, which this thing will roll pretty easy even when it's heavy. I don't know if you guys hear that, but she just said in my headset that they're ready for departure, so that's nice. Okay, where's it going? Why is it turning to the right? You see that? Interesting. Why is the... I have to turn full left to go straight. What's going on with that? Oh, you gotta be kidding me. That's interesting. That's not me turning it. That's supposed to be me turning it. That's weird. It's always something. It's always something. Excuse me. Okay, the taxi is very simple. We're actually just going to go down here on taxiway Kilo and then hang a right right over here actually. It's not far to get to the runway. Let me show you real quick. We're right here. We're going to go here to Kilo 1 and then hold short of runway 12 right. So let me get that back over here. Keep hitting the left toe brake to try and get her squared away. That's going to be a problem rolling down the runway, I think. Alright, I'm going to finish up the taxi. We're going to be holding short right there. And then as soon as I get done figuring out what's going on with these rudder pedals or with this tiller, I'll be back and we'll be ready to take off. Alright, I got it sorted out. I don't remember why, but I had used the hat switch as a tiller for a different aircraft. I think it was the fly-by-wire. I think we had to do that at one point. And earlier, in between video clips, or in between recording clips, I had used the hat switch to look around. And so the nose wheel, when you use that tiller function, it stays stuck to one side. And so it was stuck to the right. That's what was going on with that. Alright. So let's get our strobe light on, taxi lights, or runway turnoff lights on, landing lights on, and everything else is good to go. I wonder if you're supposed to leave those on. I don't see why you would without the APU running, but we're good to go here. Let's go ahead and pull out on the runway. There's no traffic coming in, so we're not having a... That would have been really problematic going down the runway at 100-something knots, trying to keep the aircraft centered on the runway. But it seems to be all good now, so that's good. Always a bonus. Just double check our approach path. I don't see anybody coming. I've heard a little bit of chatter on the radio. I don't even know what... We're on one of the center radio frequencies just by default. So you may hear a little bit of radio chatter. Not a problem. Pull her out on the runway here. We've got more runway than we know what to do. It's 14,590 feet. And I think part of the reason these runways are so long, because they take a lot of large aircraft, obviously, but it gets so hot here. And remember, I talked about that air density. So when the air density is really, really thin because it's very hot, then a large aircraft is going to need a lot of runway to take off. Now, it shouldn't be too bad for us. We should get up in the air, no problem. But that's just a little fun fact for you. So, and I need to scoop my physical chair back just a hair here. And then, because I was just like pressed up to my desk, center it back up. And let's go ahead and stabilize the engines at about 60%. That's a little higher than 60, that's alright. And does Toga work? I don't remember. What? Huh? I have no idea what... Are you kidding me? I don't even know what to say. I don't even know what to say to that. How did I overstress the aircraft? I barely started moving. Wow. Alright, I'll be back on here in a little bit, I suppose. We'll figure this out. If it does the same thing, alright, start pulling forward, track IR coming on. If it does that again, then the only thing I can assume, if this thing will move, the only thing I can assume is that there's like a hole in the runway, or there's a glitch of some sort. So if it does that again, then probably what I'll do is I'll probably try taking off on the other runway as a practice run and then come back on and tell you on the video. If that doesn't work, if I have the same problem doing that, then there's obviously a glitch. Excuse me. There's obviously a glitch, and then I'll have to wait to finish this video until that glitch is rectified. So, other than that, I mean, I genuinely have no idea what caused that. No idea whatsoever. So we're going to pull back on the runway here. And I think I actually pulled in, yeah, last time I used a different entry point, the next one down there, but that's okay. Doesn't really matter. This one will be just fine too. So we're not going to dilly-dally here. We're going to pull out on the runway and we're going to roll right into our takeoff run. The toga button doesn't work. I think I've mentioned that before. Somebody said, check this or check that. I've definitely got it mapped. I double checked it, so I don't know. But here we go. Takeoff thrust coming in. And hopefully we don't crash again. Maybe it was my toga button. I don't know. Airspeed's alive. So far, so good. See if we fall into the nether and it says we crashed again. Doesn't look like it. So maybe it was that toga button caused it. I don't know. That was really, really weird. There's V1. Those callouts are really quiet. Somebody said, hey, check your settings in the sim. Make sure your sound settings are set properly. I checked them. They are. Gear coming up. So it's not my sound settings. No idea what's causing, or no idea why that's so quiet. If somebody knows a fix other than just changing the sound settings, let me know, because I have checked those. They're good. Okay, why did we... You see my thrust reduced there? I mean, auto throttle's on. Let's just put the autopilot on here and what is going on with this thing, man? Okay, let's put the autopilot on. That's like, there's just weird stuff going on. Like, thrust reduction height is 1,500 feet. We're not even there yet. And it just rolled the throttles back. It wasn't me. Physically, I still had a handle of the throttles. So I have no idea why it rolled them back. Goodness gracious, we're going to have some issues with this one, I can tell already. Good times. Let me get the track IR off here. Okay. At the moment, things are looking alright. I think we can take out one setting of flaps here. Let's do that. I mean, the airplane's flying. I don't know what's going on though. Like, why did I had the throttles physically all the way forward. I was not on autopilot, which means the auto throttle hadn't come on this aircraft, or maybe it did kick in. I don't know. But even still, if it did, we hadn't reached thrust reduction altitude yet, which is 1,500 feet. So I don't understand why the throttles would have started to roll back. There's flaps 5 there, and then we'll go to flaps 1. Maybe. So it's physically, it's at flaps 1 right now. That's the wrong button. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So physically, it's at flaps 1, but it's still registering flaps 5 on here. I don't know why that is. And let me look at ACARS here. ACARS says I'm at flaps 1. So, or flaps position 1 is what it says on ACARS, and that's what flaps 1 is. So I don't know why it's at flaps 1. Now, we're not supposed to exceed 250 knots below 10,000 feet. So I'm not going to take the flaps all the way up at this point. There's really nothing else to do. The landing gear is up. The flaps are almost up. Other than having simulator related issues, our flight's looking good so far. So we're going to go ahead and break away from here, and that means, you guessed it, it's time once again for some of that obligatory elevator
tell you what
music.
To do in life instead of everything you know that you could get. Don't let them guide your life towards regret. I'll fight for what I love with every breath. My past is filled with things I won't forget. I use them all to push me to my best. So treat the worst of times just like a test. If only I could go back in time, I'd tell myself that everything will end up alright. Just push yourself, test yourself, figure out what you like, and find your limits, don't be rigid, always work towards a prime. Surround yourself with open minds, people can change your life. A few friends with intent can help you feel alive. Find a passion, take some action, and with a little time, just be patient, make a statement, try to enjoy your life. They'll try to kick you while you're down. They wanna rise up while you drown. They wanna fill your head with doubt. They're silently scared that you'll figure it out. I'll make it look like I'm losing, won't bother hiding my bruises. And when they finally think you're wounded, then it's your chance to be ruthless. close, I can see that they compare. I think everyone's against me, maybe something in the air. Am I paranoid? I swear a void is forming and they're scared. I walk a straight path, not many can say that. I like to play fast, cross me and there's payback. You better pray that I don't see your face at any place that I go. I know you hate that. I've been doing fine, I'm not wasting any more time. I live for the fight and the climb.
And welcome back to the flight deck, ladies and gentlemen. We're about 155 nautical miles from top of descent. We're coming on a little early just to make sure things are taken care of. I've actually already set up the arrival and the approach in the FMC, but I want to brief those to you real quick, show you what we got set up, and then talk briefly about the weather because it might be a little crazy. So, starting with the arrival, using Sim Toolkit Pro and our Navigraph charts. It's going to be the Takeoff 2A RNP arrival. We're actually just coming in out here at Takeoff and then down to ANRIM. Notice that our max speed there is 230 knots. Keep in mind also that our ATIS is on 126.7. We've got that tuned in so that we hopefully pick up the weather far enough out in case there's any change, and I'll tell you why here in a minute. But for the moment, we are scheduled for the RNP runway 7 right approach. And you can see it looks a little crazy at first. I'm not really sure what this background is here. I think maybe that's the city. Why they put it on there like that, I'm not entirely certain, but there's a lot going on here, so let's go through it real quick. We already talked about the ATIS 126.7, Karachi approach on 25.5, tower on 18.3, ground on 21.6. This is an RNAV approach that we may not be able to fly because of the weather. We'll see here in a minute. But either way, final approach course is 074 degrees. And your descent point is here at KC 601, 1600 feet. Decision altitude is 549 feet. Airport elevation is 100 feet. The runway is at 71 feet, so there's going to be quite a slope there. Now for the missed approach, we're going to climb straight ahead to Mackley, I suppose that's how you say it. Climbing to 3,000 feet and then contact ATC. Transition altitude is 3,000 feet. So we keep that in mind as well. Now we're going to come in out here. It's actually out here at ANRIM. You saw that on our arrival brief there. So we're going to come in at ANRIM down to Gumil, then Viruk. I'm sure I'm pronouncing these wrong. Who knows? And then it's going to be KC 602, 601, and then into the runway there. Now there's a lot of visual references on this one. There's the naval dockyard. You're not supposed to overfly below 3,000 feet. Pakistan oil refinery, we should be able to see that. There's obviously some pretty tall buildings here, 600 feet, 527 feet. I'll be curious to see if those are actually present in the sim, if they give us that reference. We'll find out. Also, it says avoid overflying Karachi city during the day below 2,000 feet AGL. Not sure why you'd be flying that low in a commercial aircraft, unless you're on approach anyway, and during the night below 3,000 feet AGL. So again, KC 602, we're looking at 2,200 feet, descend from there to 601, 1,600 feet, and then onto the runway from there, right? So the issue is there's 549 was the minimums, which was mentioned up here. Okay, so here's the issue. The issue is probably going to be the weather. Let me just show you here. Now we're going to see if this holds out because this weather is not the same as the weather in the sim. But as of taking this METAR, the wind was 090 at 26 knots with 1,000, I think that's the visibility is 1,000 feet, and thunderstorms and rain. So if we've got thunderstorms and rain and visibility of only 1,000 feet, we need to fly an ILS, right? Don't worry, I was thinking that too. Here's the problem with that. The ILS approaches are only for runways 25 left and right, which is the opposite direction. But look at that wind one more time. The wind is 090 at 26 knots. We're not going to land with a 20 knot tailwind. It's not going to work. So worst case scenario, if the weather is really that bad, then we may find ourselves holding out here at ANRIM until the weather clears, or possibly considering a diversion. We'll see what happens when we get close, or maybe we'll just get crazy and try and land with a tailwind and see how that works out. We do have pretty long runways. We've got 11,155 feet to work with, so of course in reality, no, you would not land with that tailwind. But there you have it. That's our arrival and our approach briefing. Once we get on the descent and down a little closer, we should pick up the ATIS. We'll come back on here and we'll discuss options.
Karachi Airport information, Sierra 1300 Zulu. Wind 089er at 40. Visibility, tree in heavy rain. Sky condition, ceiling 1,400 feet broken. Temperature 27. Dew point 10. Altimeter 29er decimal 48. Visual runway 07 left and visual runway 07 right in use. Landing and departing runway 07 left and runway 07 right. VFR aircraft say direction of flight. All aircraft read back hold short instructions. Advise controller on initial contact you have Sierra.
Alright, so there you have it, folks. I don't know how they have visual runways in use when the weather's that bad, but will it not? Oh, I gotta go back to VNav. Okay. Alright, so we're gonna descend a little more here. I'm setting this down to 500, which is close to our minimums. Obviously, the heavy rain, 40 knot winds. This is going to be interesting. That's the only way to really put it right now. It's going to be interesting. You can see the storm ahead of us there. Did you know that the weather radar works on this? I don't know how accurate it is, but it appears to work. Now we're supposed to have heavy rain up here, and I'm not seeing anything, and I can't make any adjustments to it. So like if you go in here to the weather radar, it doesn't let you do anything. So I don't know how well it works, but it obviously works a little bit. You can see definitely some heavy rainfall right there. We could probably zoom this down a little, maybe that'll help. I mean, that just zooms in that over there, which is storm system off to the side. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how this goes. We've briefed the approach. Everything is set up the way we want it, so there's really nothing else to do at the moment except to watch our descent and start setting up for the approach, right? So that's what we're going to be doing here. I may fast forward some of this, but obviously I'm going to have you guys on board for the fun stuff. We're going to try and land it for a couple of reasons. One, because I need to. I got to go to work. So we're going to see how this goes, and hopefully we don't crash an airplane here today. Alright, so we're going to be into it here shortly. Let's go ahead and take a look at our approach checklist. The landing lights are on. The altimeter, we can actually set that right now. Let's, it's 2948, so the aircraft's going to try and climb. That's fine. That's one thing I really don't like about really low transition altitudes. But anyway, nav radios are tuned approach. We don't have a localizer. Engine instruments are checked, and then the rest is speeds. We're using auto brakes 1 for this. Let's go ahead and arm the spoilers here, and right now I'm controlling it. It's not VNav. It's not doing VNav properly. We're supposed to be at 6,000 at Gummel. We got down to 3,000, so I just held it right there. So we'll go back to VNav here shortly and just kind of let it do its thing. We are definitely going to hit some of this on the approach. I was hoping we were going to miss it there. It looked for a minute like we were, but we're not. So we're going to get rocked here pretty good. So let me get this view where I want it here, and get the track IR on, and just carry on from there. So let's yeah, we're gonna hit a cell. This is gonna be, this would, now it's not red, but it's nasty. This would be bad practice. We might just kind of split them here just a little bit, but it's gonna be tight. That's all there is to it. After we start our turn at KC 602, I'm gonna drop the gear, finish configuring the aircraft, and go on from there. So here we go, we're turning into it, folks. Now I'm going to try and get the weather set to the same weather. Oh, that storm's moving right across us. I'm going to try and get it set to the same weather when I do the cinematics. I have to record those after the fact. So if I don't have a great cinematic for this approach, I do apologize. Oh man, that thing just moved right across there quick, didn't it? We are going to get, I'm surprised we're not bouncing around like crazy. It's definitely raining heavy. I would expect some pretty heavy turbulence here. Let's go ahead and let's put this back on VNav. We need to get down to 2200. It's just been on VNav speed the whole time. It's just not doing VNav well at all. So, and you see the speed keeps going back up to 225 knots. Why? Oh, okay. We're gonna change the way we do this here. I'm putting it on here because that's just ridiculous. Oh my gosh, it's bouncing all over the place. The speed knob. There we go. Okay, let's go ahead and drop the landing gear. Gear coming down. Next setting of flaps coming in. Maybe. Yep, there's flaps 15. Oh, this is an ugly storm, folks. Okay, and we are looking for 142 ultimately. Next setting of flaps coming in. I'm just going to roll right past that 17 and 18. We're going to go to flaps 20, and we're looking for flaps 25. Let me get this view centered back up here. Sort of. I think I moved my mouse or something. What's our altitude? Look at how low we are already. What the heck, man? We're supposed to be at 2200 at KC 601, and it's got us at 1200 feet already. I'm sorry, we're supposed to be at 1600 at 601, but we're at 1200. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to do vertical speed, and we're going to just control it like that. So last setting of flaps coming in, right? Yep. Oh, come on. See, it's flaps 25, but it's not showing up on there. There we go. Okay, there's minus 100 feet. We're going to have a little visibility. And let's get our speed the rest of the way down, 142. This is going to be tough, no doubt about that. 147 is what I want. And we'll do 700 feet per minute. And we're looking for the runway right now. I think I zoomed in a little. There we go. Alrighty, we're looking for runway lights. I can just make them out there. I'm going to let the autopilot do its thing for the moment, because it's flying the aircraft nicely. I don't know why it's just 500 foot increments apparently. Okay, I've got the runway in sight. We're actually not getting bounced around much, which is quite surprising if I'm being honest with you. So let's go down just a little bit quicker here. We're pretty much on glide slope. I can just make out the PAPI lights. The wind is not what it purported to be, or was reported to be. That's interesting. Okay, that's enough of this. Autopilot off. Oh, if you click it, you have to click it twice to get the buzzers off in the other aircraft, but okay, we're looking good. We're just a skosh low here. Okay, gear is down, flaps are down, auto brakes are set to 1. Oh, now she wants to climb. Auto brakes are set to 1, and spoilers are armed. That wind's all over. Ah, those callouts are quiet.
200.
Continue. Oh, big chop there. Oh my gosh, it's floating bad.
100. 50. 40. 30.
Come on.
20. 10.
That was just, oh, that was just silly. Reverse thrust coming in. Oh, well, the landing certainly could have been worse. Reverse thrust off. Manual braking. I should have set that. Alright, we're going to need to exit to the right here. What do I say about that? I mean, honestly, with rain like that, I don't know. Probably wouldn't have done the approach in real life, although if we're being honest, it wasn't near as bad as I expected. The landing was actually pretty smooth, but it's so frustrating when it floats like that. It's just so frustrating. Alright, let's get her off here. Let's get the taxi lights on. Gonna need a little thrust to keep going here. We'll leave the runway turn-off lights on as well. We can get those off. Strobe lights off. Come on, let's go. And let's start the APU. And I'm gonna go ahead and taxi in, and I'll be back here momentarily. Alrighty folks, we got her up to a gate here. Let's go ahead and get the APU up and running for the moment. I already started it on the way in, so we can turn the engines off. We have connected the jetway at this point, so we're good to go on that. Let's take a look at our shutdown checklist here. Parking brakes are set. Engine generators, we can't turn those off. External power, we can go ahead and turn that on now. All three of those, both of those will come off. This guy comes off. Fuel pumps come off. Nav lights, no, nav stays on. Beacon comes off. I'm going to leave logo on because it's pretty dark out there with the weather. And what else we got here? Fuel pump switches, seatbelt sign. That's already, I already turned that off. And heads up display, we didn't use that anyway. That takes care of our shutdown checklist, and that means that's going to wrap it up for this one, ladies and gentlemen. Now I will say this, it's not really that heavy a rain, and the wind was not 40 knots. So yeah, I don't know about that weather brief, but yeah, it was a pretty good flight overall. It was a good landing. I enjoyed the flight. It was a good landing despite the weather. This aircraft is a little hard to fly. There's still some issues with it. But overall, I think it was a really good flight. And I hope that you guys enjoyed it. It's been a long time since we've been on this 787 global tour, so I'm looking forward to continuing this as we go forward. If you haven't done so already, folks, do hit that subscribe button if you think that I've earned it. I certainly appreciate all of my subscribers, and click on the bell if you want to get notifications. And it really does help the YouTube analytics if you give the video a thumbs up. So if you enjoyed it, please do give it a thumbs up down below. That'd be a huge help for me, and I would appreciate that very much. That's it. That's all, and no more, ladies and gentlemen. Until next time, as always, keep the blue side or the really rainy side up, unless otherwise instructed by ATC. God bless you all, and have an absolutely wonderful day.